Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome. It's thank God it's Friday to start with, right at Sodor Crown Court. Uh, Pardon the gentleman making uh, very high volume at the back, but just less than about 15 minutes ago, the former Minister of Petroleum, Diezani, Alice Madueke, just left court. She looked quite sober. It's been a long day. Today is a short day. Friday is normally a short day here in court. But today, yesterday, before coming to today, yesterday, I saw a gentleman here in the court premises who looked very boyish and youthful. I thought it was the EFCC, former EFCC chairman, or Abdul Rashid Bawa. I approached him. I said, "Are you related? Are you Mr. Bawa?" He laughed, he smiled and said, "No, but we work together." I said, "Is he around? Is he coming to court? Is he entering the court?" He said, Bawa is somewhere in the building. And after waiting a couple of minutes with no sign of Bawa, I came outside. The gentleman later joined us, myself and a few and two other people. And I asked him again, "Where is Bawa?" He said, "Oh, he's somewhere." He changed his story. He said he's somewhere. And that I asked her, "Is Bawa, is he coming at all? Is he going to appear in court?" He said, "Oh, maybe today." Yesterday he was saying maybe tomorrow. But it turned out that that hasn't been the case at all. But on Tuesday, let me bring to your notice one of the things that happened on Tuesday before coming to today. Many of you have seen that very famous video where Alice Madueke was saying to Kola Loko that, she was going to escort him and Jide Omokore to court. That video was recorded in May of 2014. It was from one of the materials recovered from the laptop of the former Minister of Petroleum, the NCA, the National Crime Agency. They were the one that recovered that, and it was tendered on Tuesday. It's still ongoing. It was tendered as part of the evidence. The communication between her and Kola Aluko lasted for over an hour. Let me read one of the quotes. Apart from that, it was a real hard talk. It went from a hard talk to something like a romantic talk. But let me read one of the things which I hope it's not going to haunt the former minister. One of the things she said in that communication while talking to Kola Aluko, she confronted him about not, telling her lies. She asked him, "Do you take cocaine?" She said she's been hearing rumors. Kola Aluko said, "I can swear on my children's life, I don't smoke cocaine. I take that, he doesn't do any drugs at all." And then, they had that hard talk because Diezani said, "Look, we supported you," and she knew people were after her. So she was very annoyed, talking harshly before they went into romantic mode. Talk harshly to Kola Loko and say, "You're telling lies. I know you tell a few lies." Kola Loko said, "No." She said, "I warned you guys, don't live that hard life. Don't buy the yacht," but you went ahead and did something else. But here is one of the things which Diezani said. I'm quoting her because the communication schedule was put out there in court. She said, "Jail," this is Diezani's own words. She said, "Jail has been around since the beginning of time. I would have expected you to have come up to me and reach me." There was a time they had a problem. I think Diezani wasn't happy that Kola and Jide, they were not being professional, that after sticking their necks out, to support them, to give them contracts, to allow them to be lifting oil. They were not paying the correct cash call equivalent, which they were supposed to be paying. So they had a falling out. So that meeting was a heated one. Diezani was not happy, was really talking harshly to Kola, and Kola was saying, look, that is a lie, that she did not say anything about that, that, he can swear, on his children's life that, what people are saying about him is not true. And then after all, so they had that very, very heated meeting, and Diezani laid it all out and said, look, even the president then, Jonathan, that look, we went out, we supported you like we haven't done for any Nigerian company. She mentioned that, when stories were coming around of what Kola, Aloko, and Jide and Co were doing, that even Aliko Dangote came to her, was telling her that these and these are the things I'm hearing. She said, I was arguing with Dangote, I was arguing with Aliko, a world-class businessman that now Kola and Co has made her to look like a fool. So I think it was from that time that they had a falling out, though they had some romantic relationship after that, But yesterday, like I said, a gentleman here who said Bauer, former minister, former EFCC chairman, was in this premises here at Sodok Crown Court. It turned out to be a dummy that is sold out, because when I asked him yesterday, is Bauer, are you Bauer? He said, no, I work with him. He smiled and he said, is he coming? He said, oh, he's somewhere in the premises. After waiting for him outside there for about 20 minutes, the man came out, he chatted with us, but he said, what of the former EFCC chairman? He said, he's somewhere around this vicinity. And I asked him, he said, let us see. He said they've been in town for over a week since Monday. They were expected to appear, but that was all he told us. He said he had been in town with Bauer since Monday, but that, they told them yesterday, they told them Monday, so they'd be hanging around there, whatever. But things were said, but today, what was said about Bauer was that there was a statement, a written statement, which was used by the Crown prosecution. It is so they read a witness statement from Bauer. This statement was written when he was not EFCC chairman then. He was a superintendent of police when he led a group of officers to raid Alison Madueke's residence in 2015. They recovered, of course, loads of boxes, about 10 boxes of documents and other things, so those, he signed that statement, but in this court, Bauer has not made any appearance. So what the gentleman who was here yesterday, what he told me was not correct. He even stood outside here with us yesterday from around 2 o'clock, was chatting, was saying, oh, Bauer is somewhere, but definitely he didn't show up. But the Crown prosecutor read a witness statement from him, and he mentioned the things which they recovered when he led a group of officers. Then he had not become the EFCC chairman. So we have come to the end of week 5. Today also, the Crown moved speedily. They went on to count 3. Count 3, they brought out correspondence, which was between Diezani and Diezani's brother, Bishop Doye Agame, how a lot of correspondence, how they were negotiating property. There were, among the correspondence was one of the people linked to this case, Benedict Peters. They wanted to donate money to Bishop Doye Agame. Don't forget, Doye Agame is brother of Diezani. Diezani was ni Agama. Agama, yes. So Bishop Doye Agama is the second defendant. He's not been around, because of health reasons. He's based in Manchester, but he's a defendants, three of them, Diezani, Olatimbo, and Doye, Bishop Doye Agama. But today was mainly, apart from the witness statement from former EFCC chairman Abdurrashid Bawa, which was read in court, and it was one of their great facts. There was no objection. There was no cross-examining. The defense did not raise any objection. And like I said, just about 30 minutes ago, around 2:37, Diezani herself left here with two of our support people. Friday is normally an early day in court, but today we finish at 1:30 instead of normal 12:30. So today the things that were said about Doye Agama were those correspondences between him and how £1 million was paid, which was supposed to be a donation to the Way of Life Christian Church in Manchester. They don't forget the defense, they have not done any cross-examination, but out of the 8 count charges, they zeroed in on count number 3 today. They zeroed in, which linked, the Bishop Doye Agama and Olatimbo, and also what they displayed today, the communication. There was even an instance of somebody forwarding quotation of a Bombardier jet to Diezani. The Bombardier jet, they gave the cash flow analysis, and we don't know whether she requested it, but the quotation of the price of a Bombardier jet was forwarded to her in 2015. I'll get that date correctly, but the invoice, the email was from had the logo of Bombardier Jets, and then they had the cash flow analysis of what is going to cost. So that was also read today as one of the agreed facts. But like I said, it is still the Crown that is having the momentum, the defense they have, because the Crown has not finished. On Wednesday, there were 3 or 4 witnesses by video link from Nigeria, and they testified. The details of that, I'll probably give that at the beginning of week 6. So we are approaching halfway. Don't forget, this trial is supposed to last until the end of April, bearing any other human interference or life happens, just like it happened last week when there was no sitting at all. But this is week 5. Today, the former minister looked quite, of course, she was always there in the dock with Olatimbo, listening, sometimes taking notes. And then the Crown, they were really, if this were a boxing match, they were really pounding her today, pounding her. And the second defendant, Bishop, our brother, and Olatimbo, because all the evidences, communication between when the money was to be donated to Bishop Doye Agama's church, the email, the checks, how the money was transferred. And there was also a witness statement from somebody who the bishop called to come and do repair works in his house, and the guy who made a witness statement how he was called to come and do work for him a couple of years ago. And so these are some of the things which we had in court today. And of course, the former minister showed no emotion. She looked quite composed, today wearing jeans, and then, like I said, she left here by 2:38. Was seen off by 2 of people who have been supporting her. So the judge dismissed the jury just before 1:30 and told them, do not forget, don't research this case. They are not supposed to check it online. It's only the evidence that is presented in court that is what is admissible. So the prosecution will continue with their case on Monday. But so far, a lot has been said about Kola Aluko. And like I mentioned on Tuesday was really, really heated. In fact, one of the most highlights of this case so far. And I really hope what Diezani said during that argument, because it's like Jide or Kola was like saying they had a number on each other. This conversation that was recorded in May 2014 is the one that I think the FBI, which has gone around, which they were saying, I will be the one to escort you to jail. It came from that recording of May 2014 rather, when Diezani called Kola Loko, and they had that one-to-one, very, very, they thought you had a crisis sort of talk when things are going bad, because she said, look, the people in the industry, they are telling me things. I'm hearing things. And because people who were not happy that we have stuck out our neck for you, we have supported your company, Atlantic Energy, and now you seem to be messing up. There was a time among the conversation which they recorded themselves that Diezani was telling Kola Loko, look, you need to stay at least 1 week in Abuja. You have been going all over the place. You are living the high life. Don't do that. Don't buy that. And there was even in the conversation, Diezani was telling her that there will be a time we can be able to afford one Hyde Park. One Hyde Park is among the most expensive places in Europe. Okay, so in their conversation, Diezani was still like, not now, relax, don't show your hands too much. But it seems they weren't happy. She wasn't happy with the way Kola was going to town, living the high life at that time. So they resolved that, of course, because again, in that conversation also, Diezani was telling Kola, look, I don't, probably, I don't know, but she was saying, I'm the president's wife, and they had that conversation that went from business, from hard talk to, a sort of a lover's talk as well. So this is where we have the defense, the prosecution, they have not finished. Like I said, if this were a boxing match, the last 3 rounds, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and today will have gone to the blue corner if the Crown prosecution was the blue corner. But of course, the defense, they still have to do their cross-examination. So, and today also, lastly, the NCA, the National Crime Agency analyst who worked on some of the document that was retrieved from the device. These documents which were retrieved, they were from the St. John's flat of Diezani. So, when they searched, they got many documents. So this is the one that showed the correspondence between the bishop, our brother, and also Olatimba. And they displayed, there was one shopping which Kola Loko bought, 60,000 from Harrod, so which had a lot of personal women's clothing among the shopping items. So the prosecution will continue on Monday. They had a heavy stock which they still wanted to present, but today being a short day, the judge had sent home the jury. And like I said, Diezani has left this court around 2:37 thereabouts. So we'll be back here on Monday, the beginning of week 6. I'll see you guys then.